Looks like nothing has changed since I've been away, but am I the same?
Well, I challenge them. When Jacqueline Scott goes to Hadrian's Wall and talks of the black history that is right here in the English countryside, she is either honestly mistaken, mad, or a frightful liar. There is no black history at all connected with Hadrian's Wall. Before I explain why, let me remark that cultural appropriation is generally regarded as undesirable these days. You know, when white people start dressing up as black people and so on. Not at all a good thing.
The Lord in his almighty wisdom has decided to take the coffee from us. In a way it is of lay sing, because me got craving to go McDonald's and get myself McEgg McMuffin. Praise the Lord for his 99p breakfasts. Give me oil in my lamp, keep me burning. Give me oil in my lamp, I pray. Give me oil in my lamp, keep me burning. Keep me burning till the break of day.
Not at all a good thing. When people of black African heritage, though, turn up at one of our historical sites and try and muscle in and claim that it had something to do with black Africans, you can trust the BBC to make a story out of it.
Would you be comfortable with your primary school children being taught that white privilege is a fact? Do you think that saying that you don't see colour is a microaggression?
Like many viewers, I was amused to see such things as Anne Boleyn, played by a black woman in a television series a year or two back, and I regarded it as being a passing novelty, simply something to grab the attention and make the drama noteworthy. I underestimated the danger.
You see the nail? So now me cannot grip properly. So me cannot make no double espresso, me cannot make no skinny latte, me cannot make no caramel macchiato, and me cannot make no frappa cappuccino. Beware Satan. So it is with great regret that I must close the stall early and go back to the nail salon and have another manicure and also a pedicure. Praise be to Jesus for his complimentary peppermint foot scrub. He died so that we may live. Amen.
As the mad ideas of black history have taken increasing hold in recent years, so too have the claims that Britain has always been a multicultural and multiracial society. John Blank, the famous trumpeter, rather than being a freakish exception, has now become accepted as a typical citizen of Tudor Britain. The claim is routinely made that there were many thousands of black people in 18th century London, and although there were some black servants and so on, this is not regarded as being good enough. Why should black people be restricted to being servants or beggars? So when we're making films or television series about the 18th century and we're going to have black people in, it would be racist just to limit them to the roles that they really inhabited on the periphery of society.
Which obtain widespread evidence of possible politicised teaching in education to children as young as 3 years old. What's the latest tonight?
Well, I think many people remember in late 2020, Qualities Minister Kemi Badenoch making a statement in the House of Commons saying that teaching white privilege as a fact is illegal. And then after that, there were several media reports which continued to reveal that actually possible politicised education was continuing. And we had Nadeem Zahawi, the Education Secretary, in February of this year, actually making a public intervention and issuing guidance around this. But we've done further investigation and spoken to many parents and teachers and also obtained documents which actually reveal that children as young as 3 years old are potentially still being taught politicised education.
This kind of loopiness has been compounded by the fact that many companies in the television and film industry will not now do business with any commercial enterprise which doesn't have a certain percentage of black people working for it in all aspects of production. In other words, all companies must reflect the community, to use a modern jargon. This means that any film or series being made must have black actors in it, or the chances are that nobody will buy the finished product. It will be particularly difficult to export any programmes to the United States unless black people feature prominently in a finished production, and not just as extras playing street sweepers either. No tokenism, thank you.
I was playing on my deal on my no deal fruit machine. You know the television show with that nice Christian boy, no 11 cent. Well, the devil must have got inside, Noel, because he just thieved £180 of the petty cash from me. But don't worry, because I'm going to win all the money back. Have you got change of a £10 note? Because you can, my love. I don't have £10. I've only got £5. There's a place for you in heaven. Right. Hey, get away from that food machine. I got my money in there.
Black people must be shown as important, high-status characters, and nobody around them must raise any eyebrows or display racial prejudice. The result is things like Bridgerton, where even the Queen of England is played by a black person.
So, hi everyone, I hope you're having a good day. What is it? It's 6:15 on Wednesday evening. Good evening everyone. I am good. I've just been to Tesco. Done a bit of shopping, our usual Tesco in Gorton. But then I just want to talk about how people suddenly come out of the woodworks. You know, the video that went viral.
All this means that period dramas made these days, whether set in Roman Britain or the Viking times or Regency England, Victorian London, London during the Blitz, all have to feature important black people. This really does make for bizarre viewing, and the latest film, set roughly at the same period as Jane Austen's novels, is no exception. The thumbnail to this video shows a clip from Malcolm's List, which is about black people and Indians, all of them in the upper classes in the Regency period.
So we found evidence of kids in primary school being taught about intersectionality, white privilege concepts that many people in the adult world have no idea what it means. I mean, one of the documents that we obtained, that we have an image of that actually, said that racism was started by white people a very long time ago in order to make life more difficult for non-white people. So we have it on there. It says racism started a long time ago when white people wanted to have more control over other people who were not white. For a lot of primary school, this is for primary school kids, many primary school kids will have no idea what that means.
And just for our radio viewers, we are showing, is this a graphic of a book? Is this a book, literature that's being handed out in
That's being given to kids?
That's an actual poster or a book or something.
And another thing that was said on that particular leaflet said that racism is about power and is deeply embedded within society. Children have no idea what that means, and that leaves it so open to massive interpretation. But it can also make kids feel really insecure, not understanding what that means, thinking that their other classmates may be prejudiced towards them because of what they look like. They may not even know what being black or white means if they're as young as 5 years old. So we spoke to a teacher who was speaking publicly for the first time. He said that he's really worried that this is actually increasing and gaining momentum within education. And unfortunately, it seems that not enough is being done about it.
What has happened is that a few years ago a memorial was uncovered at Hadrian's Wall to a unit called the Aurelian Moors. And some silly people saw the word Moors and jumped to the conclusion that these were Moors in the sense of Othello the Moor, blackamoors, black people. The province of the Roman Empire from which these Moors came was called Mauritania, and it is where modern Morocco is. At the time of the Roman Empire, Berbers were living there as they were in much of North Africa. The Berbers were not black, not in the least. Genetic analysis of modern Berbers, I give a link to this subject also in the description to this video, shows that the Berbers came from Europe and the Middle East about 50,000 years ago. They are related to the modern Lapps, the reindeer herders of Scandinavia, and also to the people who lived in the Middle East before the Arab conquests. About 80% of modern Berber genes are European and Middle Eastern, with 20% from sub-Saharan Africa. These genes are more recent though and probably come from slaves brought up into North Africa after the Arabs conquered the area in the 7th and 8th centuries. There probably wasn't any black genetic heritage amongst the Berbers who were living there in Mauritania at the time of the Roman Empire. As if this was not clear enough, there are sculptures and paintings of the Moors at the time of the Romans. They are clearly not black.
Looks like someone, and I don't know who, has taken a hacksaw and cut through the water pipe. Who would do such a thing? Well, anyway, the plumber here now, but it's going to take hours to fix. So me got no option but to go to London town with my sisters and catch the matinee performance of Dirty Dancing. Praise the Lord for the 2-for-1 ticket offer.
They say that more needs to be done to engage ethnic minorities in the area's history. I'm all in favour of this, if they mean getting black people to visit archaeological sites and museums to learn about British history.
That's insane. I'd have to kick off about that because presumably, the implication there is that, all white people white people started racism. Can't just say that there's racism everywhere, right? There's racism, massive racism actually in the Middle East, in Africa, in places. It's not a white person thing.
Well, exactly. And we spoke to one parent who said that they'd sent an email about other materials that were sent. Oftentimes they didn't receive one and felt blacklisted and demoralised. There was actually one parent who said that actually when they did send an email questioning one of the materials they received, that they received a reply saying, so you don't believe in equality then?
Oh, good.
And this is actually what a lot of parents are feeling when they actually intervene about these issues, that they are feeling very isolated and there is not a response.
Whenever anybody questions whether immigrants holding British passports and their families differ in any way from white families who have been in the country for 1,000 years or more, there are liable to be howls of outrage and accusations of racial prejudice. Why can't we simply accept that black people are loyal citizens in just the same way that we are? If there were a war, they would volunteer to fight for this country as readily as any white English person. That goes without saying. I have long been dubious about this idea because I have observed that young people whose parents come to this country from Pakistan or Jamaica very often identify themselves as Jamaican or Pakistani rather than British. This is the case even when they were born in this country, and I don't believe for a moment that any black person feels the same way about Britain as I do. My connection with the country runs very deep because my father and grandfathers fought for it, and all my family, going back as far as the 17th century, were born here. England is in my blood. It takes a good deal more than 1 or 2 generations to create such a deep attachment to the land. I was reflecting on this when I saw photographs and films of crowds of Londoners celebrating the Platinum Jubilee yesterday.
A good memory you've got.
Yeah, I remember you because you look like a model.
You reckon?
You're gorgeous. You are lovely. Look at your hair, it's lovely, it's like mine.
Except that yours is real hair. Mine is just look. Mine is not real hair, but anyway, what can we do?
What are you doing here, babes?
What am I doing here is taking a photo of you. Wow. I don't want to pack my bags yet and die, so yeah.
Where'd you get your car from, eh?
This car?
Yes, lovely.
Just down the road, there's a Mercedes garage. You can...
How much did you pay for this?
36.
Where'd you get your money from?
I'm a hooker.
You know, go?
Yeah.
So good for you, girl. Go on.
I'm a hooker, a happy hooker, a justified hooker.
After all, white British people are a minority in the capital. So one might have thought that many of the black people who are citizens, just the same as me, would have been celebrating. The only thing is, if you look at a photograph of the crowd outside Buckingham Palace yesterday, you will not see any black people at all. Even in parts of London where there are very many black people, most of them with British passports, they're not present in the pictures.
And yes, all my pictures are real, and yes, I am verified. So why gamble? Book somebody who is verified and then you know exactly where you stand.
Clearly, the Queen is not as important to her as it is to us white folks. Some of the photographs taken in London show Indians in the crowds because many Indians are more patriotic than we are, but I'm guessing that Pakistanis and Bangladeshis aren't around. I mention this because, of course, the Queen is head of state, not only in this country, but she's the head of two of the Commonwealth countries in the Caribbean and Africa, Ghana, Kenya, Nigeria and the rest.
I fixed it.
What?
There you go.
May the Lord smite thee down. Them folk just lazy. They doesn't know what hard work is.
What is happening is that loyal citizens are slowly but surely being replaced by people who have been granted passports through a technicality of the law and have no real interest in this country or its traditions. Other, that is, than it's providing free health care and other benefits and a higher standard of living generally than the places where they were themselves born. I don't for a moment believe that anybody can be truly British unless they were born in this country to parents whose own grandparents were born here. Alas, this rather, at least by my definition, rules out every black person in the country.
And so just relying on these government interventions, one campaigner said to us, it's just not enough. The government really needs to take responsibility for what is going on in education because this could have really disastrous consequences in the long term for young children.
These characters have a rather different aim, though. They hope to persuade people that it was not just white people who were stationed on Hadrian's Wall and guarded it as part of the army. The guy says that the first recorded African community to guard a fort in Britain 1800 years ago was in Berg, near Carlisle. And then his female sidekick chips in with a few words about the black history that is right here in the English countryside. See how neatly this is done? But it's not true. It was only white people in the Roman army there, mainly European, with a small number of men from the Middle East. There was no diversity at all at that site in the sense of people with different coloured skins. What we are seeing here is people without much of a history of their own trying to pinch our history and appropriate it for themselves.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely absurd, and I would definitely encourage people, don't be, if your kid comes home with one of these materials,
burn it.
I think that this mad desire to project diversity onto the backdrop of our history is here to stay, and it has crept into non-fiction books aimed at children and found in schools, such as David Olusoga's dishonest book about black people in Britain. Our history has effectively been colonised.
I've been working at this kiosk day in, day out for 20 years now, and in that time I sold over 100 cups of coffee. But today, this airport just empty, so me got no option but to close early. Well, you know what they say, them low-cost airlines is the work of the devil. Corinthians chapter 2, verses 10 to 11.
In order that people who had no history to speak of should be allowed to claim that they were prominent players in British history.
Don't leave me out in the rain. Bring back those nights when I held you. Here, hold on, so that they know I'm with a real human being. They probably think I'm with a robot. Say you love me again.
Our history is thus well on the way to being overwritten with an entirely false and untruthful version of the past.
Not just that, but write an email, you know, put it on social media, get in contact with your MP as well, because, you know, it's absolutely unacceptable, I think.
Yeah, Inanna, cracking report there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Inanna.
Iman there, of course.
So when you come back, there's none of your friends to be found, so readily now.
Welcome to England.
Fish and chips in the way, but am I the same?
ठीक हो गया जी चैनल ਨੂੰ ਸਬਸਕ੍ਰਾਈਬ ਕਰਕੇ ਤੇ ਘੰਟੀ ਦਾ ਬਟਨ ਨੂੰ ਟੈਨ ਕਰਕੇ ਦਬਾ ਕੇ